In spring of 2003, when I was just 15, I died for 6 minutes. What I saw in that fleeting eternity haunts me still. A truth so vile I hesitate to share it. But I must. Someone has to know what waits for us beyond the veil. It was an ordinary day, the kind where the world hums along without a hint of menace. I just stepped off the school bus, the familiar 4-block walk to my house stretching ahead. The air was warm, laced with the scent of blooming lilacs. I'd eaten my usual lunch, Bosco sticks dipped in marinara sauce, a high school staple I'd had countless times. Nothing seemed amiss. Then, without warning, a wave of nausea slammed into me. My stomach churned, and a cold sweat prickled across my skin. I barely had time to register the strangeness before a flutter stirred in my chest, like a bird trapped beneath my ribs. My heart, I later learned, had slipped into ventricular fibrillation, a chaotic, fatal rhythm. I collapsed, the world tilting into darkness. What happened next was pieced together by others. I sprawled across the street, lifeless, nearly crushed by a hatchback before the driver swerved and stopped. She tried to shake me awake, her voice trembling as she called 911. Paramedics arrived to find my heart silent. I was, by all accounts, dead. They shocked me back to life somewhere between the ambulance and the hospital, launching me into a grueling odyssey through surgeries, an ablation, a pacemaker, and a crushing pile of medical debt my family still hasn't escaped. But my heart beats now, steady and sure, and I'm grateful for that, not because of some divine mercy, but because I learned something in those 6 minutes that changed everything. When my body lay still, my soul, or whatever you call the essence of me, slipped free. It began with light, a radiant, all-consuming glow that felt like every story of heaven I'd ever heard. It was warm, welcoming, pulling me upward as if I weighed nothing at all. I ascended through what I can only describe as gates. Not physical, but barriers that parted to grant me passage. Each one felt like a judgment, a moment where I could have been turned away. But they opened, and I rose higher. I arrived in a place that defies description. It wasn't a landscape or a room. It was a state of being, a realm where dimensions folded into nothingness. My mind, unmoored from flesh, could barely grasp it. Even now, the memory is more feeling than image, like trying to recall a dream that slips away upon waking. But I wasn't alone. Presences surrounded me, vast and ancient, their energy pressing against my own. Raised Christian, I thought they were angels. I reached out, expecting love, expecting salvation. Instead, I was bound. Invisible chains clamped around me, not on my body, but on my very essence. Humiliation and terror surged through me, sharper than any pain I'd ever known. These weren't angels. They were overseers, cold and indifferent, their power absolute. I was a prisoner, collared like an animal. Why? I screamed, my soul's cry echoing in that boundless void. Their response was a mocking ripple, something akin to laughter but devoid of warmth. Thoughts invaded my mind, not mine, but theirs, carrying truths so horrific I wanted to unlearn them. Our universe, they revealed, is no accident. It's a farm, one of countless others, engineered to cultivate souls. The delicate balance of our cosmos, the Goldilocks condition scientists marvel at, isn't a miracle. It's a design, crafted by entities who see us as livestock. The Big Bang, the rise of life, the emergence of humanity. It's all a machine, churning out conscious beings to be harvested. Our purpose, they told me, is to ripen. We live, we suffer, we grow, and when we die, we're plucked from this plane to serve them in theirs. Their realm is eternal, a place where time and space dissolve into an endless now. There, we're enslaved, our souls bent to their will for purposes I couldn't comprehend. The thought of it, of an eternity in chains, made my soul quake. Those 6 minutes stretched into what felt like years. One of the entities, smaller but no less cruel, took a particular interest in me. It was childlike in its malice, toying with me as a cat might a mouse. It prodded my soul, inflicting pain that wasn't physical, but deeper. A piercing agony like losing everyone you love at once. It reveled in my torment, feeding on my fear. I was powerless, a plaything in its grasp, drowning in grief that had no end. When it sensed that my time wasn't up, that my body was being pulled back to life, it grew irritated, like a child whose game was interrupted. It warned me not to speak of them. If I kept silent, they promised a better place among the enslaved, a hollow reward. If I spoke, they vowed worse horrors awaited my return. I couldn't imagine anything more unbearable than what I'd already endured, but their threat lingered, a shadow in my mind. I woke in the hospital, gasping, the sterile beep of machines anchoring me to reality. For weeks, I tried to tell anyone who'd listen. My parents, my friends, the doctors, they all chalked it up to trauma, a teenager's mind grappling with death. "You've been through something terrible," they said. "It's normal to have nightmares." I stopped talking about it. Eventually, I started to doubt myself. Maybe it was a hallucination, a death dream conjured by a brain starved of oxygen. I buried the memory, convincing myself it wasn't real. Years passed. I grew up, went to college, carried the weight of my pacemaker and the debt it brought. Then, in 2008, I heard about a local author visiting to read from his book about a near-death experience. He claimed to have met God, to have seen heaven's glory. Something stirred in me, a need to know if he'd seen what I had. I went to the reading, sat through his polished tale of light and love, and afterward I approached him. I looked him in the eye and asked, "Did you really meet God?" He smiled, the kind of smile that's practiced and reassuring, and said, "Yes, God is real, and He's full of love." I don't know what possessed me, but I leaned closer and whispered, "I know the truth. Slavery waits for us all." His smile faltered. For a split second, his eyes widened, and I saw it. Recognition. He knew. He'd been there, felt the chains, heard the mocking laughter. But he chose to lie, to spin a comforting story for fame and profit. He recovered quickly, chuckling and patting my shoulder. But I walked away certain. I was not alone. Others had seen it too. That encounter broke something in me. I couldn't pretend anymore. The truth was too heavy, too real. I started researching, digging into near-death accounts, looking for others who'd glimpsed the same horror. Most were like the authors, tales of peace and divine embrace, but buried in forums, in obscure blogs, I found them. Whispers of a darker afterlife, of entities that weren't gods but predators, people who'd felt the same shackles, the same soul-deep pain. They were few, but they existed. Their stories dismissed as delusions or demonic visions. I don't know why some see the truth and others don't. Maybe the entities choose who to reveal themselves to, or maybe only certain souls can pierce the illusion. All I know is that I can't stay silent anymore. I've spent years wrestling with their warning, terrified of what awaits if I speak. But fear of the unknown is nothing compared to the certainty of what I experienced. If there's a chance my words can prepare someone, can spark a rebellion against whatever those things are, I have to take it. What scares me most isn't the thought of returning to that plane. It's the idea that we're all part of their harvest, living lives we think are ours, unaware we're being fattened for slaughter. Every joy, every pain, every moment of beauty, it's all just fertilizer for their crop. And when we die, when that light beckons, it's not salvation, it's the reaper's net. I don't have answers. I don't know how to fight them or if it's even possible. Maybe we're doomed to serve, our souls too weak to resist. But I refuse to go quietly. I'll keep searching, keep speaking, keep warning. If you're reading this and you've died, even for a moment, ask yourself what you saw. Was it love? Or was it a flicker of something crueler, something that hungered? I live now, my heart ticking like a countdown. I carry this truth alone, knowing most people will call me mad. But I know what I saw, and I know what waits. The light isn't a savior, it's a lure.